Hello. Well, it's a fantastic pleasure today to have the opportunity to interview Daniel Dines of UiPath. We know the company because the company has just, or earlier this year, had a blistering IPO, and it's definitely a name that's gone beyond the world of tech to the world of business more broadly. And yet it's a business that is built around a process called robotic process automation, which is something that a lot of us have a lot of trouble in understanding. So, Daniel, I wonder if we could start with you telling me basically what is the essence of the company? What do you do? And how can we get beyond a couple of really difficult acronyms like RPA to get a real sense of what the company is about?
Well, actually, the acronym was invented by a British company that was a pioneer in the space. So blame them, not me, about this title. But essentially, what we are doing is to automate manual, repetitive business processes. Our sweet spot is actually existing business processes that today are done manually by human users. And we have a very different approach to any other automation means in the sense that we emulate the human users. It's very much like self-driving cars emulate the driver in the car. So our software is based on computer vision, and we literally do on the screen whatever a human user is doing on the screen. So we can automate a lot of rule-based tasks that we routinely do during our daily work. Things like invoice processing, paying bills. Where in healthcare we work a lot, in across public sector. So this technology is very horizontal in nature. Wherever humans are tasked with something that is repetitive in nature, we can go and automate this type of tasks.
I see. And it's mostly so it's geared towards the employees within the firm rather than the firm's processes itself. Is that right?
Well, we work both on the processes itself, back office processes, but also on what we call the front office, where we help employees with their daily tasks. For instance, if you are supposed to fill out a form based on a document, based on an invoice, you can run one of our robots on the same computer with you. It's gonna read the document and will pre-populate the fields in an ERP system, and the user will just verify quickly and press OK. So we save tremendous time for people. Let me give you a story with Mater Hospital, where during COVID, we saved like 3 hours a day per each nurse, simply by helping them automate this bureaucratic paperwork.
Yes, you hear this so much with frontline workers, with teachers, with lots of people who are basically doing very important jobs, but are uh, constantly bogged down with the repetitive paperwork that they have to fill in. So I can see in that sense that it's a tremendous advantage for certain types of employee for white collar workers, I guess. I mean, tell me just a little bit about how you started the company. I mean, I heard at one stage you talking about a death sentence that you felt as an entrepreneur at the very beginning. I think it took you quite a long time to get the business going. Can you talk a little bit about, how you moved from death row to fame and fortune?
Well, I think first of all, I sentenced myself to death. I, I'm. My background is in software engineering. I used to work for Microsoft in Seattle, and 15 years ago, I took the strange decision to go back to Romania, my native country, and start a business without really understanding anything about building a business. So we've been not through one, but multiple death sentences. But you know what helped me? I've become unemployable, Henry, basically, because I got to know a bit of everything, but my programming skills become rusty, so nobody would have employed me anymore. So I really had to make this business successful. So 10 years after we started, we found the product market fit. We realized that the computer vision technology that we built really has a sweet spot in automating these manual tasks. And since then, we got, through a few fundraising rounds, and then, eventually we land at New York Stock Exchange. And we've built one of the fastest growing company, I think, in the history of enterprise software. To put things in perspective, 6 years ago, in 2015, we were 10 people in a small apartment in Bucharest with, less than $500,000 in revenue. Now we are in excess of $700 million in ARR. We are growing significantly. Last quarter, we grew 60% year over year. So it's we are leading a pretty burgeoning industry at this point.
So, and what's the size of the market that we're talking about? There's a lot of different figures that are bandied around, and the robotic process automation market that I mentioned at the beginning. Some people put a size on that of about 3 billion, and yet during the IPO, I think there were substantially larger numbers that were estimated for the size of the market that you're trying to address. Can you talk me through how you get from sort of the $3 billion to the $65 billion or whatever it is that is the market, the addressable market that you think you have?
Well, it cannot be 3 billion. I believe that we will build a company that is larger than 3 billion in not such a distant future. The TAM that we estimated as part of our IPO process is $60 billion plus. And it's built using a conservative way. We basically segmented our existing customer base, and we took the current ARR and we extrapolated it to the entire industry, and we got to this figure. And I can tell you from all my discussions with investors, analysts, everybody believes the TAM can potentially be much larger.
Sure. So, and what is it that you're actually offering your clients? Does it go beyond efficiency and cost cutting?
Well, we offer them an end-to-end automation platform that help them really with all their automation needs. We help them discover good candidates for automation. We help them implement and maintain those processes. We help them deploy them, and we offer very flexible deployments from our SaaS cloud offering to on premises in their own data centers. And we are offering also good analytics pillar where they can measure the impact of the software and can help with the flywheel of automation, can take the dollar saved and put back into the wheel to foster the more innovation into the process.
But am I right in thinking that, I mean, essentially what you're offering is the ability to be able to automate, as you say, manual repetitive tasks. I mean, so the idea then presumably is that the company will need to devote fewer workers to those tasks, which presumably frees them up to do something more creative. I mean, how do you feel about the ability for employees themselves to be able to engage with the robots that you're providing with them? Are they willing to do that? Do they fear them? Do they see them as being potential job killers? What's the relationship of the employee with the robot in their computer?
This is absolutely correct, Henry. We actually are seeing that customers that adopted our technology are actually seeing happier employees. People that are more engaged with customers, they build more empathy skills. So literally, there are no fully automatable jobs. There are only tasks that are part of one's plate that can be automated. So we are not automated jobs. We are automated tasks that are part of one's job. And in turn, we let them focus on things that matter more. These tasks that we automate are low value in nature. Think about what the nurses on Mater Hospital. The value they provide is taking care of patients, not really filling up papers.
So, how did the executives in the organizations respond to this? I mean, there is always a concern among executives about um, basically about providing technology to their workers. I know you've talked about democratizing automation, but that's something that can be quite challenging to the bosses of a company and also to the heads of technology within a company. They feel like if they give more technology to the workers, then it's going to create a much more complex system. Is that a
Well,
problem that you're facing, and how do you kind of overcome that with management itself?
it is a problem until they see the technology working. So I wanna give you a story of an amazing story that I've seen at one of our customers, Singtel, which is a big telco company in Singapore. So they had an employee that was like 40 years into her job in the company, and they put her through a training to understand our technology, and she was able to build an automation herself that basically automates some report generations where she spent like 4 hours a week to down to 5 minutes. And people were really amazed. And it was not the fear of losing. She didn't, of course, lose her job. On the contrary, she had the spark in her eyes saying, now I can talk more with customers. I can engage more. I have something more valuable to do. And this is constantly what we are seeing among the employees themselves. There is a spark in the eyes when they see the robots taking over really the jobs, the part of the task that no one really likes to do.
Yeah, last year, I guess, and the pandemic was an extraordinary time for companies to uh, to to engage with automation. It was almost for many companies, it was a baptism by fire. They literally had to automate very fast. And I would imagine that your business, which has flourished over the course of the last 18 months, um, got some benefit from that, even if it was already running fast beforehand. But now that we're going back to the office, now that we are, rubbing shoulders again with our co-workers, does that make a difference? Is that likely to affect the trajectory of your company and more broadly, I guess, of automation, the push towards automation?
Well, hey, pandemic was net neutral to us. in the sense that we were able to hit our targets that we set pre-pandemic at the end of 2019, but we didn't really surpass our targets set before pandemic, and that was pandemic. Of course, brought a lot of awareness to automation, but in the same time, certain industries where we were pretty active before, like retail or travel, had to reduce their operations, and we were seeing an uptick, particularly in healthcare and public sector. But generally speaking, during pandemic, people were focused more on the immediate needs, like providing remote collaboration tools. We are seeing really huge prospects post-pandemic when people learned the lessons. There is no contingency plans in place ever. They used to say, okay, we will spin our back office in India and we are done. Now people realize you have to go and rely on automation and technology as much as you can. So we are seeing a solid pipeline for us for the remaining part of the year, and we are seeing a great next year for our company.
And I really understand how it can be liberating to have processes that are automated for many workers. But I also think that one should be wary of overestimating the ability of people in business to try something new. To a certain extent, you need to bring in almost entrepreneurial processes into the company to encourage people's creativity. Have you given any thought to that? I mean, you're certainly enabling employees to cut the time that they're wasting on menial tasks, but how can they also, in a sense, increase the productivity of their ideas at the same time?
I fully agree. The biggest bottleneck in the adoption of our technology is corporate inertia. Our biggest success stories came from the places where we have a great executive sponsor that is really driving the automation, and great people, great executioners that drive the program. I want to mention to you our biggest customer, which is a Japanese bank. It's Sumitomo Mitsui Bank, where we are working with them for the past for more than 4 years, and we have the Ota-san, which is the CEO of the bank, is our executive sponsor, and Yamamoto-san, which was a really great leader of automation, drove the bank, the automation program, to the tune of $500 million in savings. So this is not really a joke when we are thinking of the impact in the organization. So we going more about in regard to how we can foster more ideas among employees. We are big proponents of upskilling, reskilling programs within enterprises. This is part of our social responsibility stance, and we are happy to work with our customers, and not only the customers. We have a big academic alliance program with more than 1,000 universities of college participating. We skilled basically 250,000 students in our technology. So this is in itself a creator of ideas. Understanding how to use automation is becoming as essential of knowledge worker jobs as it was to learn tools like Microsoft Office tools in the 80s and in the 90s.
Daniel, this is fantastic. I have to confess that as a white collar worker myself, someone who spends pretty much all of my day at my laptop, I'm deeply worried that that you're going to that one of your robots will find a way to automate journalism as well. Is there any danger for me that one day there'll be a robot writing my column?
I have no fear in this, Henry. If I think one of our robot can create a skeleton, 70% of an article, but in itself it will be pure garbage if you are not gonna filling out the blanks.
Well, that's a huge relief. Anyway, it's fantastic to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed, and I really look forward to hearing more about UiPath in the future. And good luck with your business. Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.